down a smidgen. All right, my man. I'm going to share a screen with you.
Do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother.
I'm going to do it, brother. Should be able to see my scren.
I do. Let's see the
See all
draft.
the porn that's on it.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. So much porn.
Look at all the porn. Welcome back to another episode of Going For It Mock Draft Part 2. That means 2 in Italian. It doesn't. It doesn't. It was close, though. It's like kind of the same thing.
I think it's French, actually.
Yeah. Well, all I know is these colors don't run. Anyway. Freedom fries for life. That was a hell of a time that we lived in.
Oh, we lived it. We really did.
We did. Thanks, public school. We are back. Mike and I were initially not going to do our next mock until closer to actual draft time, but we literally talk about this every day, and there's new stuff coming out every day. Since we were last with you guys, Justin Fields has been moved to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a move that is a move. I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, they have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and that's going to be what it's going to be. I think. And then Minnesota has positioned themselves to possibly be moving up in this draft, which is something I'm sure we'll talk about with picks 11 and 23, trading with the Houston Texans. And a million other things have happened in the NFL, but that's not what you're here to see us do and see us talk about. So again, this is a no trades mock. This is our best guess / what we think should be done. This is not, we don't have any sources. We don't have any like intimate details about like what each team should or could do. We have Twitter. We have Pat McAfee. We have, I've been listening to a lot of NFL Stock Exchange. I really like those guys. Thank you for turning me on to them, Mike. Appreciate that. And, we are going to start in the inverse, I believe, this time. You got
I do just want to say, you don't speak for me, okay? You don't have sources. I have plenty of sources, but I'll never tell.
Okay. Mike, am I your source? Is the source with us right now?
Yeah. You point at the doll where the source is.
I also would like to display to you guys, mostly just for Mike's sanity and because I want to show him and he's unaware of this before it happens. Obviously Mike and I both big Giants fans, as you know if you watch or listen to our podcast. I got this for one Mike Spillane.
Oh shoot.
And I shall be sending this via the mail to your, it's pretty neat. He's like, it's hard to see. I'll send you a better picture via my phone, but he's like all like shadowy, like there's like a shadow effect, and it's a really cool card. I got one of these, and I saw another one for sale on the eBay, and I was like, Mike would like that, and I
man.
it.
That's too sweet. You're too sweet.
Yeah, I do what I can, man. But anyway, Brian Burns, New York Football Giant, we love him already. With all of that being said, I am doing the odds this time. Mike Spillane is taking the evens from me. So he will get to pick for all of the NFC East teams like I did last time. And hopefully he does a better job at sabotaging them than I did. However, this gives me
long snapper,
all kickers,
punter.
All kickers. Matt Dodge for all of you. No, Giants reference. I have the luxury of having the easiest pick in this draft. I'm pretty sure the Bears have already given Caleb Williams his tablet. I'm pretty sure like there's no question that this is the dude. Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears with the first overall pick. Worst kept secret in the NFL.
I do like that they've at least, it looks like Pro Football Focus has updated their draft board a little bit.
It does
Because
look like
I'm
that.
pretty sure there's people that were like way more spread around. It looks like it makes a lot more sense now, which is nice. Um, yeah, I mean Caleb Williams. It's they traded Justin Fields. It's a foregone conclusion. And also, I just want to go ahead and say that the people that are like on Twitter and whatnot, like criticizing him because there was like they saw a pink phone case and he had his nails painted. It's 2024. Who gives a shit? Like guy can
Dude
fucking
can ball.
sling the ball around, you know?
He's a baller.
Like
And have
he's
you seen pictures of his girlfriend? She's a fox.
smoke show.
Stone cold fox.
Yeah. And
Like,
also, you guys remember one of the people that your city idolized for still to this day is fucking Dennis Rodman. Like
Yeah.
chill. Like let the guy get in there, let him get settled. He's an individual. And honestly, that should be something you should be fucking cool with. Like it's good to have a personality. Like
Dennis Rodman painted his nails before it was like cool. Like he did it as like a fuck you to everyone. So
yeah. And now I know
let's relax.
countless amounts of dudes that paint their nails because they're like, fuck it, why not? It's cool. I don't care.
So many
like,
dudes.
I don't paint my nails, but that's just because actually I did paint my toenails once because I got a pet. Mel talked me into getting a pedicure, and she's like, "Are you gonna paint your nails?" I was like, "Probably not." She's like, "You should." And then the person doing the pedicure was like, "Yeah, you should." I was like, "Oh, fucking do it. I don't care."
Well, who
Paint my
cares?
toenails. I don't give a shit.
It is literally the most temporary thing in existence.
Like it's so dumb, dude. So dumb. So pick two. Um, do we want to go with what we think they will do or what the smoke is? Because with Tom Pelissero saying that a bunch of other execs in the NFL think that the GM of Washington would be a JJ McCarthy guy, I don't fucking see it. I don't think JJ
So
McCarthy is a first round talent, but like,
I agree. You know that we fall very similar footing with when it comes to JJ McCarthy. The thing that gives this to me a hair of legitimacy is that the quarterback that reminds me most of Brock Purdy in this class is JJ McCarthy.
yeah,
So the GM for Washington came from San Fran. I think if he's trying to run a Shanahan-esque offense, I think you're going to see the best. You're going to see JJ at his best if he's in a Shanahanian style offense, a lot of quick throws, time throws over the middle of the field, quick slants, stuff like that. I think that there's a lot of merit. I just don't know how this dude goes from being a second round quarterback to now we're talking about him possibly going second. Like I can't wrap my head around that. This is a Zach Wilson like explosion, and we all saw what happened there.
yeah, dude. And it's funny because you see the one clip from the pro day where he's doing that the same. He did the Zach Wilson
Roll
throw,
to the left,
where
throw to the
roll
right.
to the left, throw to the right with a deep bomb, and people are just like, "Come on, this looks so good." And then I'm just sitting here, I'm like, "We saw this. Like this is deja vu.
This literally happened already."
Like, pretty boy blonde quarterback on inside of a dome, like inside the field house, throwing the exact same throw and then getting overdrafted. Now, granted, from the get-go, I've said I think he's a day 2 pick. I understand that quarterback is an overvalued position, and like there's teams that are going to jump at the chance to get him. I don't think. I think that it is going to be mostly smoke, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants are one of the teams making the smoke. So that way they can either try and get him overdrafted by somebody else to get someone else to fall to us, or so that he does fall to us. Granted, if we traded up into the end of the first round to draft him, I'd have zero issues with it because I understand that. I just top 5 is crazy to me. I just don't see it. I'm
gonna be a top 5 pick. He's gonna be a top 5 guy.
I am more than happy for him to prove me wrong. I just don't see it. And that's the thing is you could show me so much of the game tape of, yeah, he only played the first 3 quarters because his team was winning all the time. The Big Ten has 3 teams, like there's 3 teams there that are usually good. Iowa sometimes gets a pass, but like it's just for defense. They don't know how to score. Like they create tight ends and linebackers. That's mostly what they're known for, and offensive linemen. But like, I don't know. I'm so just very perplexed by the JJ McCarthy discourse and how it got to where it's at right now. And
The
and
rise of JJ needs to be studied. It's
it will
wild.
be. It will be, especially if like my
If he goes too.
no, not even that. Not even that. Just especially if like my idea of what he's going to be at the pro level ends up being true, because like this guy, he fooled everybody. You know, if that ends up being the case, and again, with all of these guys, it's not like I'm saying that I dislike them for the fact that like I think they are a shitty person or anything like that. I don't want that to be misconstrued or misunderstood at all. I hope that every single one of these guys that gets drafted does have success, because it is a once in a lifetime shot and these guys have dedicated their fucking lives to it. Unless you're like an abuser or an animal abuser or anything like that, in that case you can piss off and go to hell. I don't care. But every single player, I wish the absolute best for them in the draft, because I know how much of their life they've dedicated to this sport. But just as someone who's watched some tape, watched the measurables, watched the workouts, for him, I just do not get it. And especially when you have a guy like Jim Harbaugh saying he's the best college quarterback I've ever seen. No, the fuck he's not. I don't care what you say. There's yeah, he went 28-1, but you guys had a defense and a running game that carried that team. Like, congratulations on him being 28-1. He's not the best college quarterback I've ever seen. With that, I'm going to go ahead and take Jaden Daniels at 2. I just think that's the smoke that's there for JJ McCarthy. And I'm sorry that I just kind of completely ranted and took so much of your time.
You're good, man. This is why we do it.
Yeah, I just don't have him ranked 22 and his average draft position is 4.4. Curious, where do they have JJ ranked out of that? I'm just genuinely curious if you search him in there.
28.
Interesting. Okay. I was just curious. But yeah, I just don't see it. I don't, so.
Yeah. Like I said, I agree with you. I think it's a virtual certainty though that he goes. I think he's going to go top 4. So guys, again, we're not doing trades, but I think the next 3 picks all have a possibility of being traded, and I think we'll see some smoke or maybe even a trade before draft day. One of the things that they mentioned on NFL Stock Exchange that made some sense to me is that because of everything that's coming out of Washington, there's not a lot that is for sure. I feel like generally you have a decent idea of like who's coming out, who's going with what like, and Washington was all in on Drake May. Then the line switched to Jaden Daniels. Then now there's a whole bunch of smoke around JJ. And like Tom Pelissero is not a nobody. That guy is very prominent in the world of football and like breaks things consistently. Like, so it's very interesting.
And for him to go ahead and put his name on something like that means that
Right.
it carries weight. You know, like you're not going to see Rappaport or Pelissero or Schefter or Garofalo, those big guys in the name of sports, in the name of football in particular. You're not going to see them put their name on a story like that if they don't feel that there is actually water to it. So I agree that there's likely something, and clearly Vegas took that and fucking ran, because JJ McCarthy as the number 2 pick in the draft went from plus 2,500 to plus 400 in the course of a day. Like, that's they think wild. Something's up there.
Yeah, and like I said, so I'll call back to that before I move on to pick 3. We've talked enough about JJ McCarthy and we haven't even picked him yet. But the only reason it makes sense to me for Washington is that is the kind of quarterback that Washington's GM, whose name escapes me at the moment, wants to build around. He is the most Purdy-like quarterback in this draft. So, or at least at this level, that I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to go get that guy because you've seen him have success in a Shanahan system. Dan Quinn, not the first pick for head coach over there. I think they were definitely targeting Johnson, I think, the offensive coordinator in Detroit. And I guess he didn't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, I understand it to an extent, but he's not even, he's my number 4 quarterback in this, on my quarterback rankings. And like, He's barely 4. Like, it's not particularly close. The only reason he's really 4 is because he played in a pro-style offense and Michael Penix didn't. He's also not coming in with injury concerns, and in my opinion, Michael Penix is. So
It's fair. And
it's
Adam Peters was his name, by the way.
Adam Peters, that's right. He's a San Fran boy. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Anyway, moving on. I'm in the same position as you were with your last pick. Like, what do I think New England should do? I think they should get Joe Alt and lock down this offensive line, because I think if you take a quarterback here, as a Giants fan, the odds of ruining him are very high. You do not have a great supporting cast. You do not have a great offensive line. You have some names ish on defense. Matthew Judon comes back this year. Christian Gonzalez should come back, but he was a rookie last year. Like, how much can you count on him for? If I was the GM of the New England Patriots, I would take a bookend tackle. Joe Alt is the number 1 tackle in this draft. Like, is Belichickian in the way that he goes about the game, and this would be a pick that I think a lot of people would say is the safe pick, but it's also a pick that you can set and forget. This is that Joe Thomas-esque kind of left tackle, Andrew Thomas even for the Giants kind of pick, where you set that guy in there and you forget it, because he's going to lock down the left side of your line for the next decade. However, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to look into trading. I really do. I think they're going to look into moving, down slightly, because there are so many holes on this team, especially offensively. I could definitely see them taking a flyer on Marvin Harrison Jr. He is my number 1 player on my big board. Again, we've talked about him. This is a gold jacket kind of guy. But I think this is where Drake May comes off the board and he goes to New England. And I honestly hate it for him, because I don't think New England is ready for this part of the rebuild. But I don't think that's going to stop them. They may have the idea that they're not going to be picking this high consistently, but I can tell you, with that wide receiver core, that offensive line, the lack of weapons, and you still don't have a lot of true playmakers on defense, you're going to be here again. And I think this is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I kind of echo that. I feel like I do think that you're right and that Drake May goes there. I'm just not going to say that it's necessarily going to be to the Patriots. Giants, trade up candidate. Vikings, trade up candidate. Denver, Las Vegas, trade up candidates. All teams that need a quarterback. So I think those are all teams that we could potentially see it. And that brings me to number 4 here. And I'm going to tell you right now, I hope that Monty Austinfort, who's the GM of the Cardinals, I hope he's got a couple cell phones, because the thing's going to be ringing off the hook. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept this pick, but the Cardinals have so many holes. And they have holes in areas that are better filled later in the draft. So we're not doing any trades in this draft. We didn't pay for Pro Football Focus Premium, so we're not going to imagine that. Appreciate them having a nice mock draft simulator, and one of the ones nice. that is the best. But we're not paying for that at the moment because of the fact that we don't make money off this. So we're using all of our own personal time and money. For the sake of this exercise, they're not trading, but in my heart of hearts, Minnesota is going to be picking it 4, because they picked up pick 23 from Houston, and I think they're going to package 11 and 23 and possibly like a late round pick swap and like a second round pick next year or some shit like that.
They don't have a second round pick next year.
A second round pick in 2026, whatever. A second round pick in 2026. They're going to do something like that, and they're gonna move up. Realistically, it's going to be 3 picks and a pick swap, including the 2 first this year. Is probably what it'll end up being. And I think the Vikings will end up trading up and taking JJ McCarthy here.
I agree.
With that being said, though, We're playing it as it lies. So if Arizona doesn't trade out, they are probably running to the podium with Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name written down. I think that's pretty safe to say. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the pick there if they stay. But I again, my personal belief, that pick is traded.
Yeah, I don't think
100%.
they make that pick. The one thing that I think does bode in favor of the Giants is they have a higher first round pick than Minnesota. If Arizona still wants to draft a wide receiver, them at 6 is very enticing. Because you're going to get one of, and I still think they need a left tackle. I know they signed Jonah Williamson, I think, this year. But he's never been a top 10 guard in the or tackle in the NFL. So you're going to get one of Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, or Joe Alt. You can guarantee one of those players falls to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that really works in the favor of the Giants. However, I really do think Minnesota is going to, they're willing to mortgage their future because I think they're going to do everything they can to retain Justin Jefferson, and they need a quarterback in order to convince him to stay. Because if he hits the open market, he's gone. He's gone. He's going to go somewhere where he's completely visible. He'll play on Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football every week. Like, he's going to a big market and he's going to be, electric. He's not going to stay in Minnesota. So they need a quarterback more than most teams. My issue with that is they don't have a second round pick this year. They don't have a second round pick next year. They're going to also have to give up their first next year if they're looking to move. Because of, I think it's going to be 3 firsts for them to jump from 11 to 4. I think it's going to be 3 firsts, and
Mm.
their defense is full of holes,
Yeah.
So it's, you're putting the cart before the horse, and like maybe the horse can push it. Maybe, we're going to see, but it's very concerning if you're a Vikings fan, in my opinion. But, and not to mention, we already said, like, we're not sold on McCarthy.
I mean, here's the thing, though, and as much as we're talking about the other needs that they have, I will say that right now there's rumors out there that Justin Fields is being offered 5 years, 150 million with 75 million plus guaranteed. If he ends up agreeing to a contract like that, this is probably the best landing spot for a rookie quarterback because you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, and you have TJ Hawkinson. Like, that is the Suns, the 3 Suns. Apparently, I just noticed that. That is, as far as receiving cores go, that is probably the best situation you could hope for as a rookie quarterback, is knowing that you have those 3 high level guys. Even though Addison is still on the younger side, but he had a very successful rookie season, especially with JJ going down. So I think that would end up being the most ideal landing spot for probably just about any rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
But, like I said, they do have other needs. They're going to be sacrificing those needs. Can the offense end up being something that just outscores everybody instead of stopping people? The defense being able to stop people? We don't know. So it's going to depend on if the quarterback ends up being a dude or not.
I guess we will see. All of that to say, I also don't think the Chargers make this pick. I think they also have a bunch of holes. So it is.
There is guaranteed at least one trade between picks 3, 4, and 5. Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on what happens in those picks, number 6 could also be moved down.
Yeah.
So, however, if you're the Chargers here, again, we're staying put. We're not doing any trades. For me, the Chargers, because they shipped out all of the former great wide receivers on this team, Mike Williams, now a Jet. That's going to be an interesting battle between him and MetLife Turf. Traded Keenan Allen to the Bears. They need a wide receiver real bad. And the 1B of this, in my opinion, of this draft is sitting right there. And I think they're going to go and get him, and they're going to grab Malik Neighbors with pick number 5.
Yeah. So you put me in a tough spot here now, because based on the way that this is going,
I did.
So I'll say this as a Giants fan. I trust the coaching and I trust the front office to make the decision that they think is best for this team. And
here, keep talking. I'll be right back. I have a fussy baby. I'll be right back. But you do your thing.
You're good. So I trust the front office and I trust the coaching staff to go ahead and make the decision that they think is best for the New York Football Giants. With that being said, we all know by the contract that Daniel Jones was signed to that there is a 2-year out. They can go ahead and take an $18 million in dead cap in 2025 to wash their hands of Daniel Jones, be completely done with him, and move on elsewhere. Now, there is an injury guarantee if he ends up not passing a physical at the end of the season or something like that, that he would end up having more guaranteed money next year. And I don't think they really want to pay that. So if the draft were to shake out this way, I could see them going quarterback and drafting J.J. McCarthy with pick number 6. Especially with the top 2 wide receivers and Neighbors and Harrison being gone, because realistically they are 1A and 1B, especially with Neighbors today having a 42-inch vertical and running a 4.35 40. Like, for the size that he carries, those numbers are pretty wild. And I understand that he could even shoot to be the number 1 wide receiver in the class ahead of Marvin Harrison. But for me, the pick will end up being J.J. McCarthy here. And I think, as much as I don't rate him and I don't think he should be getting drafted this high, I just think that at this point it is very much an inevitability that if the Giants are presented with an opportunity to get their quarterback of the future, and he ends up being a guy that can fit into the system that Brian Daboll wants, which is a quarterback who is athletic, who has a strong arm, which McCarthy's arm is not the strongest arm, but it is a strong arm. McCarthy with a strong arm and legs to get himself out of trouble. I could see that being something that Daboll wants. I don't think that he's going to be like a Josh Allen type. But with the way that this draft has fallen so far, I feel like J.J. McCarthy ends up being the pick. And obviously, as much as I can sit here and say I'm not happy with that because I don't rate JJ, I know that they have a vision. I'm giving them my trust. They have no reason to not have my trust. They were able to go ahead and turn this mediocre team into a team that, realistically made the playoffs in the first year when they should not have at all. And they also are able to turn Tommy DeVito into a quarterback who was able to win games. So there's this team knows what they're able to do and what they can do to get the best out of what they got. So as much as I don't like the pick, I think that's what's going to happen if the board falls this way. But realistically, he's probably going 4 or 5 with a trade up.
Yeah, I think this is a place where, so I heard everything you said. I had my AirPod in, so I agree with a lot of what you were saying. I do also believe in Daboll and Shane and what they're building. I think this is a best case. This is another best case scenario for JJ because I don't think he's going to come in here and they're going to expect him to start this year. I think he is going to be the third quarterback. He's going to be the guy that's the emergency quarterback on, during the week. And he has an opportunity to learn from DJ and he has an opportunity to learn from Drew Lock and get his understanding in. Daboll gets to mold him. And one of the things that I think breaks young quarterbacks more than anything is pushing them into starting too soon. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and we all say it. I don't think he's this guy if Kansas City puts him on the field year one. I think him sitting behind Alex Smith for a year helps him become the guy who he is currently. So I think that there's positives to this game. I think Daboll can get the most out of this kid. He is only 20 years old. So, he is moldable. and that, he's still growing. That makes me excited. That means that arm can get a little more live. It can get a little bigger. So a little bit of positivity as far as JJ goes, but I also would not love this pick. He goes higher. You get one of Malik Neighbors and possibly Marvin Harrison Jr., I would shit my pants. I would shit my pants if either one of those guys came to New York
Yeah.
because so good.
And this is the thing is we're completely understanding that it's why would we want to really go ahead and draft a wide receiver when we don't really have a solution at quarterback? It's one of those things that you can go ahead and draft that and see if maybe you find maybe Daniel Jones finally can do something if he has a number one wide receiver, because call a spade. He's never had one. He hasn't.
He's not.
And maybe that'll do something for him. The offensive line looks like it should be stronger with a new offensive line coach and some new faces being brought in there. Maybe that will end up improving. But at the end of the day, you do need weapons too. And when it comes to top end wide receiver talent, once it comes to free agency, they don't come open often. Like Justin Jefferson's never going to hit free agency. Like if anything, he's going to end up getting tagged and traded if he can't come to terms. Like it's just not going to happen. And that same goes for Jamar Chase. That goes for like the fact that the Titans traded AJ Brown is still stupid to me. But like those kind of guys just aren't going to come available. Unless it's like a situation like the Chargers were in where they just had no choice, but they overspent, they had to dump, and now they're rebuilding, but they already have a quarterback that they're paying $250 million. And now they got no one for him to throw to. So literally like you'd rather go ahead and if it pauses a year, at least get one of those pieces in the building before the quarterback. That ends up being fine. I think that we'll figure things out, and if we go wide receiver before quarterback, I'm not going to be too upset about it because again, we haven't had a number one wide receiver in New York since Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, it would be nice to have that guy. And like think of a rookie quarterback being able to throw to that guy it's a nice security blanket to have, Yeah. Well, going JJ McCarthy makes this a very easy pick for me at number 7 for the Tennessee Titans. I'm taking Joe Alt, locking down the left side of that line for 10 years, like I said, whether it's Will Levis or someone they bring in next year. Titans going Joe Alt, just it makes too much sense. Honestly, there's a couple teams a little down here that I think might even try to entertain trading up for a Joe Alt, maybe ahead of the Titans, maybe that 6th pick. If there's no quarterback there, or the Giants don't like the wide receiver value, whatever. I could see Alt getting, them getting some phone calls about Joe Alt. Atlanta could be nice. Chicago's line is decent, but the Jets are really who I'm talking about. I think, if they could give a little bit to get this guy in and on their line this year, that would be really nice for them. It's obviously not going to happen, but yeah, Tennessee Titans going Joe Alt. It's slam dunk, easy pick. You are on the clock at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons.
So this becomes like one of the most interesting picks in the draft. And it's just because they solved a good amount of their issues. They got Kirk Cousins in, so they didn't need a wide receiver. I think they paid him too much money. But
a lot of money.
I think even though I like
could have had Cam Newton for way less.
Don't shut up. I'll fucking fight you. Even though I like guys like Quinyon Mitchell a lot, and like Terrion Arnold and Cooper DeJean, I like them a lot. I think it's too early to go cornerback. And they're probably going to need some help with the edge rushing department. So this is probably going to be the first defender off the board, and I think it might have been the first defender off the board last time too. And I'm going to go ahead and get Dallas Turner. I think that I prefer Jared Verse personally, but I think Dallas Turner is probably going to be a little bit more highly rated by everybody. And that's why I'm going against my better judgment. So,
Yeah, I like the pick. I honestly think they go cornerback. If that this is the way the board falls, I think they do go Cooper DeJean or Quinion Mitchell, because I didn't realize this, but after doing some digging today, AJ Terrell is in the final year of his contract, so they need to either work something out for him or they will have like next to no one at corner for them. So I could see them making the investment, but they also need help at edge real bad. And they obviously don't need any offensive pieces. So pick number 9. This again feels super easy for me at the moment. Just the way the board fell. You go up, you get the best quarterback in the draft if you're Chicago, and then you draft Rome Odunze to pair with him. That then you have one of the most dangerous wide receiver rooms in the NFL. You can put Keenan Allen on a snap count, which keeps him healthy. You have DJ Moore. You have Rome now, like Cole Kmet. This draft falling this way makes Chicago a real dangerous team.
Yeah, I think so. And some would say that it might be like surplus to requirements to go ahead and get a guy like Odunze here, considering the fact that you got Keenan Allen. But it makes a lot of sense. It just does. And you kind of give me a very easy pick here at number 10 too, in the fact that I think the Jets take Brock Bowers. Like they're going to need a receiving threat. He's versatile, being the fact that he's tight end and not a wide receiver. And I think he's a guy that could end up being a real strong piece in the Jets offense.
Yeah, I still think they're gonna go tackle. Both tackles, the right and the left, are both over the age of 33 years old. They both missed consistent time in the last couple of years. I think I told you Tyron Smith hasn't played a full season since 2016 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um,
Yeah.
he's at least missed a game, if not like significantly more, and it is often significantly more. So I would go off board here for the Jets, and not take Bowers. I would hurt me, but I would take a tackle just to reassure that offensive line. Maybe going someone like Fatanu who can play guard. You can try at tackle, but like can be that swing piece because that line is old and going. Like Elijah Vera Tucker gets hurt every year.
I
So
mean, yeah, I could easily see Olu Fashanu, or I could also see Fuaga too. Like, there's
yeah.
they could go a bunch of different directions for the offensive line here if they chose to. I don't think that the Jets are
Smart.
going to do that. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree with you. Pick 11, the Minnesota Vikings. They are upset.
If this plays out, yeah, they're
uh
very much so.
yeah, they're real upset about how this went. I'm gonna say goodness gracious, ass bodacious. They man, this did not fall well for them at all. Um, so this is what I'll say. They have a lot of needs on defense. There is a lot of really nice defensive pieces here, and I'm gonna say they will take the first corner off the board, Quinion Mitchell, from Toledo. And they can kind of set it and forget it with him on the outside. Cooper DeJean, also an interesting piece for me because he's versatile. He gives you that inside outside safety versatility, but I'm taking the best lockdown dude. Took over the Senior Bowl. He's been on a rocket ship since then. They're going to take Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean it. If this is how the board falls for them, it kind of it makes sense as much as it's going to upset them,
Yeah.
because this is not like you don't feel like this is a good consolation prize at this point. You're just like,
No, 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 no.
we
You
got
don't. You're not
who we
stoked
got a
about Sam
guy,
Darnold.
so yeah, exactly. Um, Not at all. Also, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you saw this from New York Daily News from Pat Leonard. John Mara said that the Giants didn't trade Saquon Barkley with a 2-6 record last season for two reasons. They were still trying to win, and Mara was still hoping to re-sign him. So the whole reason that we didn't trade Saquon last year is still John Mara, and we lost him anyways. So
cool.
Cool. God.
Love it.
Fuck. God damn son of a bitch.
Yeah. That draft capital would be really nice right now.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. It would probably help us with a couple things. So now the Broncos are going to draft Bo Nix. Because
fuck them.
No, because at this point they're going to go ahead and look at the Vikings and say that the Vikings didn't rate Bo Nix clearly. They don't want to risk him not being available in the second round or anything like that. They're just going to go ahead and say, fuck it, draft our guy. Bo Nix is who's going to be our quarterback, and that's who they're going to take. Because here's my thing with it. I
hate that pick.
I really don't. I don't rate Bo Nix at all. I don't like him. He is very much the prototypical Oregon system quarterback. There's only been one Oregon system quarterback that has translated well to the NFL level, and that's debatable because he's never won a playoff game. And he doesn't throw a lot of air yards. It is very much reluctant on yak. And the receiving core in Denver is poo-poo-doo-doo. So I don't like the pick at all. I just can see 100% Sean Payton forcing his way into getting what he wants here.
Oh, that Sean Payton pick would be... I would hate that. Wow. That hurt my heart. Hate that pick. I also not very high on Bo Nix. Like you said, very dependent on the yaks. Denver got rid of literally all of their yak guys. I guess Mims is still there and he can do a little bit, but yeah, Denver is, this for me is a make or break pick for Denver because they have not had draft capital for quite some time. So the cupboard is kind of because of Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
And how's that going?
One guy that got rid of the other guy. It was great. The Broncos need to nail this pick or they are going to be in football purgatory forever. They're going to be in football. And Sean Payton is going to find himself fired very quickly. Like, he needs to hit on this pick. And Bo Nix feels like a massive miss for me. But that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not a professional. I have not watched all of Bo Nix's tape. You know, I'm not a quarterback guru or anything like that. But I would, if I'm a Denver fan and this pick happens, I hate it.
Again, we're doing what we think is going to happen. And I can see that being the case. So
yeah, I get it. I agree.
And here's the thing is if he's not picked there, he could be picked at 13.
He could. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Both of these guys, I mean, I would even argue 14. 14 is also a possibility.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do here. Yeah, also 16. With the Vegas Raiders on the clock, there's a couple ways I could go here. I think they are going to how do I want to play this for them? I want to go after I'm going to take Jared Verse for them at pick 13. He just screams Antonio Pierce guy to me. Super toolsy, very versatile, smart player. Just seems like an Antonio Pierce kind of guy. Byron Murphy's staring at me still, and if Christian Wilkins wasn't there, I would have copied you exactly from our last mock. But I'm going to take Jared Verse here. I think that would be really good, a good snag for them. Also thinking Cooper DeJean, but I think they're going to go get a guy that can go get some people. And that's Jared Verse.
And in our last mock, I had them take Byron Murphy, which I thought was an awesome pick for them then. And then they went ahead and spent $115 million or whatever it was on Christian Wilkins. So that's now surplus to requirements, but continue to beef up that D-line. And you're right. That feels like a very big, Antonio Pierce, our offense might not be good, but make our defense dominant pick.
Yeah, our
Like,
defense is going to punch you in the mouth.
yeah, so I could see that. Um, if I'm the Saints here and Olu Fashanu still has not been picked yet, I think you're probably giddy with joy, and you are ready to go ahead and run up there and take Fashanu as quickly as you humanly can, because a lot of people have him as the second rated tackle in the class. And some people even have him as the first rated tackle ahead of Joe Alt. I think that he is definitely up there. He's my number 2 personally. But I could 100% see that happening. And that's a pick that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah, I think they would be stoked with that. I think they would love that. So this makes a really easy pick for me. With the Colts being here, I think they would want to go wide receiver, but I think it's still just a smidge too early for someone like Brian Thomas Jr. I think Cooper DeJean is versatile enough to go play for the Colts. I think he's great. You put him on the outside. Having Kenny Moore in the slot taken care of. You have a good defense there. I think it's a great system for him to kind of come into, and a good place for him to acclimate.
no, that makes good sense to me. I'm not really disagreeing with that whatsoever. Um, I think it could be a little bit early for DeJean, but again, his versatility just kind of are you going to use him as a number 2 corner? Are you going to use him as a nickel? Are you going to use him as a safety? Are you going to use him as just kind of a box safety that kind of runs in and can play kind of like a hybrid linebacker role? He could do a little bit of everything. He's got good speed. He's got good size. So I think it's it could be a little bit early, but it's a good pick. He's a good player. He could do a lot of roles. And realistically,
he's a high floor guy, and that's what I like about him.
The Colts can be a sneaky good team if they stay healthy, I think. So,
well,
they're a team that's going to be worth watching, I think, next year to see if they can do that.
It's up to Anthony Richardson if he
learns
how to slide.
It is. Seahawks need some interior line help, and Fuaga and Fatanu both can fill that role and play on the inside rather than being tackles. So I'm going to go ahead. I think Fuaga translates much more as a guard. So I'm going to go ahead and take Talise Fuaga here. I think he's going to kind of fit the need for them. They probably would have gone edge rusher if Dallas Turner or Jared Verse fell there. I would have likely have seen that there. But next edge rushers that are going to be up there are going to be either like Chop Robinson or Leatu Latu. Chop Robinson I like, but it's really early for him, I think. And I'll probably get shit for this, but I don't care that you got like a good bill of health at the combine. I very much care about injury history. And for that reason, Leatu Latu is not someone that I feel like I'd be comfortable spending a first round pick on, because he's had to medically be forced to retire twice from college football. I just could not put that level of capital into someone that you don't know if they're ever going to play it down, So, and that's just me being on my soapbox of injury history.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's too early for any of those guys to go. This is another place I think we could see a trade down, but I think Fuaga is a solid pick for them. And I think Jacksonville's going to take who they don't. If the board falls this way, I think they're going to take Fatanu. They need help along the interior of their offensive line. They need to protect Trevor Lawrence. And I think they signed their left tackle, Cam Robinson. I believe this is the last year of his deal. So if they wanted to kick Fatanu out to tackle next year, they could get him along the left side on left guard or whatever this year, and then kick him out again next year. So they're going to take Fatanu and fuck over the Bengals.
That's fair. And that's okay, because that's not who the Bengals were looking at anyways. I'm going to go ahead and make your life picking for the Rams so easy. Because I'm going to go ahead and take Amarius Mims here for tackle tackle. I was between Mims and Latham. But I like Mims because I'm a sucker for tackles from Georgia, and dude has size you cannot teach. And that's give that to Joe Burrow, for the love of fucking God. Give that man protection. And
Please.
and as I'm going to segue, because I don't know how much you have to say about Amarius Mims here, I'm going to segue to you because we didn't mention that Aaron Donald retired. Like
We did not mention that.
first ballot Hall of Famer Aaron Donald retired from the NFL, and the Rams are on the clock, and we haven't picked anybody that's been an interior defensive lineman yet so far in this mock draft.
Yeah, that's going to end right here. Honestly, I think either of the two, Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy II, I think either one of them could be wonderful for the Rams. I think Johnny Newton is a bit more pass rusher. I think Byron Murphy's a bit more anchor, whereas Aaron Donald was literally both of those things somehow. You're not going to find another Aaron Donald, especially not at 19.
No.
I am going to go Byron Murphy. I think he's the big body they need along that line. I think he's just a beast of a man, and feels like a slam dunk if you're the Rams there and that guy falls to you. You're excited. You're real happy that you have an immediate plug and play for a guy that retired.
Yeah, and they should be, because realistically, I'd be surprised if Byron Murphy makes it to 19. He's someone that I could see a lot of teams just jumping at and taking because of the fact that you want to fill the trenches, and if you can fill the trenches with young talent that is going to be cheap for at least 5 years, it's in your best interest to do it.
For sure.
We know that on the Giant side of things, considering we just went ahead and we paid Dexter Lawrence, we paid Andrew Thomas, and we traded for and paid Brian Burns. And we still have Kayvon Thibodeau and hopefully a resurgent Evan Neal that will eventually need to get paid too. So it's not expensive, or it's not cheap to have good players in the trenches. So get that while you can, and to help them still be a team that's competitive, they need that.
Yeah, I love this pick here for them. And just to comment on Mims, I don't have a whole lot on him. He didn't get a lot of snaps this year. He hasn't gotten consistent usage in Georgia. There's been some injury history, and those lines have been stacked. So it's not all his fault. He, for me, other than Fashanu, is the best tools, the highest potential of any tackle in this draft. I like Olu more just based on what he is today. But I think Mims, if you're able to mold the piece of clay that he is, he could be a top 5 tackle in this league. No questions asked.
Yeah, and realistically, that this is a good tackle class. I think, Alt is the most NFL ready. Alt, whoever drafts him, he starts day one. You're set. I don't know how much he's going to improve, but he is going to be a very good tackle in the NFL. Fashanu, I think he might take a little bit of time to adjust, but you're right. He has the highest ceiling to be the best. Mims is one of those ones that I think he could be better than all of them if he's in the perfect situation and he's got the right coaching and the right setup. But again, size is something you can't teach. He beats everybody on size, and he's got speed to go with it. It doesn't make sense.
Moves really well.
He does. So I'm a little bit torn here as far as the Steelers go. Part of me wants to go tackle. Part of me wants to go center. Part of me wants to go cornerback. But I'm not going to go cornerback because they did draft Joey Porter Jr. last year. So I'm not going to go ahead and draft a redundancy. I think that they still have quarterback listed as a need for them on PFF.
Definitely not.
I don't agree with that anymore because they got Russell Wilson on the cheap because Denver is still paying him $40 million next year.
That's correct.
And so they're only paying him 1.2, which is crazy. And then they have Justin Fields still on his rookie contract, and they're probably going to pick up that 5th-year option, and then he's going to be the starter next year. I honestly, I kind of really like the move for them. I feel like Fields sitting a year behind Russ, and potentially them swapping out and doing packages and stuff together. I think it's going to be really good for Fields.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to help him become more of a guy. So I actually really like that setup for them. So let's give them some offensive line help. I'm going to go ahead. I want to go J.C. Latham, but I really like Jackson Powers Johnson. So give me the boy from Oregon that's got a sandwich named after him. Because that's realistically that's how you know he's a guy that you want. If he's got a sandwich named after him, you know he's good.
Yeah, I took him in the same exact pick for Pittsburgh when we did our last mock. I think centers are so strangely valued. He could go higher than this, he could go lower than this, but I love this pick for the Steelers. I think it's almost perfect. He is that nose to the grindstone, gritty kind of player that they like in Pittsburgh, blue collar guy. So I think this is a match made in heaven.
Absolutely.
And you make my job a little easier. I think the Dolphins are tempted here to add Johnny Newton. I think they're tempted to add a Terry and Arnold, Nate Wiggins, because that defense is going to have holes on it. Maybe even a Latu, because all of their edges are hurt to start the year. But I really do believe they are going to go offensive tackle. And now that I'm looking at it, I want to do JC Latham real bad, but I'm going to do Graham Barton because he gives me positional versatility, which I think they will appreciate. He can play guard, he can play tackle in a pinch. Dude even was center, played some center in his college career. So I think that versatility will be appreciated. Maybe an overdraft, but I think that positional versatility along that offensive line is going to be good for them.
Yeah. And that's why when you were saying tackle, I'm like, I don't know that he's tackle because I definitely rate Graham Barton as much more of a guard.
I think so
But
too.
you gotta get some help for keeping Tua on his feet. So I think that's an important pick. I like it. I agree with it. It makes a lot of sense. I might have gone Latham, but I understand your logic behind it. Now, if I'm the Eagles, if
Kicker.
I'm the Eagles and I'm trying to fuck them up, I'm drafting kickers because I hate the Eagles. But I can't sit here and see Terry and Arnold on the board and not want to sprint to the podium to get that card in. Dude, it makes too much sense. That's where they need the most help at this point. I'm very curious how time's going to tell the way that Howie Roseman's built this roster and the strategy that he's doing things with void years and kicking things down the road, and if it's going to end up being the way of the future or if the league is going to try and crack down and change the way that he's doing things. Like you can go to overthecap.com right now and they're the only team that's got contract years going into 2035 because he's put so many void years on Jalen Hurts' contract that he can kick money down the road as much as he wants to. It's wild. So they're a team that's built to really they got to win a Super Bowl soon. Otherwise, things are probably the wheels might fall off, whether it be from the coaching perspective or from the players or from them not being able to keep things cap compliant. There's likely they have to win a Super Bowl probably within the next 2 or 3 years, or that team's going to get rebuilt because of the fact that they've put so much time, effort, and capital into building it and it not being successful. So I think that's what's probably going to happen. But yeah, Terry and Arnold, he fits a need. He's a good piece. Them Bama boys usually can't go wrong with it. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The other thing that I will say, adding on to that, is you better hope that Jalen Hurts is more the guy from 2 years ago than he was this year, or
Yeah.
last year, I should say.
Oh, and I'll add one more thing to that, and that's that I think that Nick Sirianni has a really punchable face.
You say that every time, and I appreciate it.
Tell
He
me when it's
does,
not
and
true.
he's not even a head coach really. He is just the chief vibes officer of that room. He does
CVO,
next to
baby.
nothing. Yeah. I The Eagles have all the talent in the world to be able to. They have Pro Bowlers at basically every offensive skill position. And if they can't put it together, that is because they have put together the most mismanaged, strangest, weird coaching staff ever. Because Nick Sirianni showed this season that when everything was spiraling out of control, he did not have the ability to be able to reel everyone in and like get everyone back on the straight and narrow. So definitely a concern for me if I'm an Eagles fan, which I am not. But I am right now a Vikings fan because they're on the clock and I'm picking for them. Pick number 23, the Vikings will select from Washington, Michael Penix
Woo.
Jr.
Woo.
Uh, I got spicy. I got spicy with this one. They go and get their quarterback. I think they are, if again, there's no trades, so we're not doing that. If the board falls this way and they were to stay put and no one was trading anything, they need a guy to compete with Sam Darnold. I think Penix being in that system could do great things. And I think that Justin Jefferson would be very pleased. Penix's arm is second to none. So, yeah, I think that this is a spicy pick, but I also think that they could make it work.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that when I look at it, I'm I think it's too early for him to go here. But I get it because otherwise you're riding with Darnold. I'm not certain that we're going to see 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, but I could totally see it at the same time. Um,
Right.
we've definitely kind of changed our tune a little bit because it was a lot more wide receivers going, and now it's a lot less wide receivers going. Um, I still think that there's a high possibility that we're going to end up seeing a lot of wide receivers taken in this draft. But there's just so many teams that have so many other needs that those wide receiver positions might end up falling outside of the top 3. So I think that, yeah, Michael Penix Jr., I don't think that this is realistically what's going to happen at all. But with no trades, it makes sense. It just does.
That's what I think. I agree with. I do not. I think that they are going to have one of JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. I think that that is going to be the
It
thing.
makes more sense.
But
Yeah.
the way that the way that we are doing this, and the way that it lines up, I'm taking Michael Penix here so that they get a quarterback, they get someone with the skills, the intangibles. He is in arm talent probably the number 1 quarterback in this class.
Yeah.
Too arguable because Caleb also has a cannon, but like his accuracy is really good. You just need to worry about there's injury history there. You need to worry about, he didn't run a pro style offense, but all of these things can be fudged because the man's got talent. So a bit of a reach, but again, I don't think that this is the most accurate thing, again, because we're not doing trades because they're so hard to predict. But I think Michael Penix Jr. goes here just because he's there
You
and
need
they
to.
need a guy.
You need
So
to at
I
that
will turn
point.
it over
So.
to you and let the Dallas Cowboys take a kicker.
Totally. They're getting their punter of the future.
Punter of
So
2026.
I realistically, I could see like it has wide receiver listed as a need. I'm not so certain that I feel like they really that's the biggest need for them at this point. Defensive interior, I could see Johnny Newton coming off here, but I think I'm gonna
That
end
pick
up
is really good.
riding with J.C. Latham for the Cowgirls. Their offensive line's not getting any younger, and they need to get people in there that are cheap pieces now because all those high priced ones are either starting to phase out their contracts or start to go into the sunset. So it makes the most sense, I think, for them to start going after someone like that.
Yeah, I think even having him here at this point in the draft, I think this is a win for them, the way that they would look at it. But it also makes my pick super easy for Green Bay. Give me Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton immediately gives them a pass rusher on the inside, a versatile piece to add to that defense. They they probably also would have liked to have the opportunity to draft JC Latham, but I don't think Tyler Guyton is the answer for them at this point, and I think Johnny Newton's fallen far enough that adding another piece to that defense is going to be good for them.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. Um, it really does, and I feel like at this point that kind of just screws over the Bucks so much
It does.
because they're sitting here being like, all right, we no longer have defensive interior. There's no longer any offensive linemen. A lot of the top cornerbacks are gone. Like I could go Nate Wiggins, but my big worry, and this is probably going to be a hot take, I could see Nate Wiggins falling out of the first round. Um,
That
and
is a
that's
hot
just
take.
because he's too small, man.
He's very
Like
small.
he's
He's very
very
small.
small, and at the NFL level, like Emmanuel Forbes, Washington last year, got benched repeatedly because he did not have the size to contend with NFL wide receivers. I worry that's going to be a very similar fate for Nate Wiggins. So realistically, edge rusher is what makes the most sense here for the Bucks. And you got two good names that they're probably going to be looking at, and Leatu Latu and Chop Robinson. If it was me, I would take Chop Robinson here, but I think with Leatu Latu still being on the board, it's more likely that Latu goes here.
Yeah, the injury concern, it scares me for sure.
I hate it, dude.
But
Because
but I
he was arguably the best pass rusher in college football the past season. Arguably the past like year and a half, 2 years. But like medically being forced to retire twice, dude, I can't get my brain to not focus on that. I don't care what they said at the combine as far as what his health checkup looks like. That happened. Can't
well,
change that.
and that's the thing with Penix too. Like that's what gives me pause
Yeah,
about
same.
Giants fans are all in on Penix in the second round. The dude's had major surgeries most of his career. He's got one healthy year, and you're like, see? It's like, well, there's a lot of hardware in that man's body that was not there before. So yeah. Um I do love the pick though for the Bucks. I think they would be so stoked with that, and I think that that's a pick that keeps them in contention, or at least maybe even puts them up a little bit as being the front runner in that division, because I just don't know that anyone has the horses to deal with them. Um, I got the Cardinals at pick 27. They grabbed, sorry, I have to go back and look, Marvin Harrison Jr. I am so tempted to take Brian Thomas Jr. here and just fill out that offense, because I think that would be dirty. I would
Mm-hmm.
love it. I don't think that that's what they're going to do. However, um, I would take possibly a Nate Wiggins here. Again, I am also worried about his size, but the dude's got skill. He's got so much skill. Um, and
Also got
where
4.3 speed.
ultimately, yeah, like he's a freak. I think that weight will get put on, and I think when it does, he's going to be a force. But ultimately they're going to go Tyler Guyton here. They're going to start reinforcing that offensive line. Kyler needs time to throw. Sometimes I guess he can scramble better than most, but he does need time to throw sometimes to Marvin Harrison Jr. So they're going to go Tyler Guyton and hope that he is. I think he's going to end up as a right tackle. I don't see him as a left tackle full time, but they're going to hope that he is a tackle of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. That's what they need. It fits. It fits well with what they really should be going for. I could see even like a Zach Frazier possibly coming off the board here. It's a little bit early, but they actually no, they could probably get Zach Frazier in the second round. Um, but yeah, it's a pick that makes a lot of sense. I think. That brings me to the Bills, man, and the Bills need a wide receiver. And I think last time Brian Thomas Jr. I think went like top 15 maybe when we
Yeah, I
did
think he
this,
did.
like maybe top 18. Um, I really like. I was kind of thinking like AD Mitchell made a lot of sense here, but I didn't expect Brian Thomas Jr. to be available. So I'm going to go ahead and take Brian Thomas Jr. He's going to be the new number 2 to Stephon Diggs because Gabe Davis is on his way to Jacksonville. So they need a number 2 receiver again, and I think that's something that will make the world of sense for them.
Yeah,
Late run
I
on wide
think
receiver
that
is about to happen here.
yeah, it's gonna be a little gross. It's gonna be a little gross here, for wide receivers. And you're gonna see probably a lot of people trade up in the second round to try and grab some of these guys. Um, there is not going to be a wide receiver taken here. However, I will say, I think that um, what what does Nate Wiggins need more than Dan Campbell in his ear in the weight room telling him to get swole, son? I'm gonna take Nate Wiggins here for Detroit. I I don't love the mesh of them initially, but I think that Dan Campbell has a way about him that gets the best out of his players. His players want to compete for him, they want to fight for him, they want to do all that stuff. So I think he's going to be able to get the best out of Nate Wiggins, put him in situations where he's going to be able to succeed, and they're gonna they're gonna do the damn thing. So and that talent you can't pass up at this point in the first round.
No, you can't. And it's I'm a big fan of the fighting Dan Campbells. I said it like I referred to them a lot as that last season. I like Dan Campbell a lot. I obviously I think that he did um, cost his
He
team in the
did.
playoffs. He did.
He did.
But I think that it's one of those things. I think he could probably get the best out of Wiggins and help him bulk up. And I wouldn't hate that. And there's also, being in the NFC North, but being able to play indoors. Um, I think that'll also be good for him. But one thing that I do want to add is these last 4 picks. There's going to be talks of teams wanting to trade into these last 4 from the second round. I could see that happening. I could see a lot of offers coming in. And like specifically, I'm looking at the Giants drafting JJ McCarthy because he fell there. I would love to see the Giants jump up and get an Adonai Mitchell. Like, it would make me feel a lot better about the fact that they drafted JJ first if they trade back in and get a first round wide receiver. Um, I think that would make a lot of sense. I look at what else is on the board here for um, for Baltimore and their needs. Um, I think that a guy that would make sense for them, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, but we know how strong they are on defense and what they like. They took Zay Flowers early last year, so I'm not going to go early wide receiver again. Um, Offensive line, I don't think the value is currently there right now. Um, so I'm gonna have them come in here, and I'm gonna have them take Chop Robinson. I think that's
Ooh, I like it.
I think that's a pick that, based off of what we have available, I could see Chop Robinson coming here at the end of the first round, and being a strong guy for them.
I love that pick. I love that pick for them. I love Chop. I think, yeah, I love that pick for them. I think they're gonna want to go offensive line, but I agree. I don't think if they could trade down here and get into the early second round or something like that and be able to take an offensive lineman there, I think they'd be a little more happy, because you're looking at I mean, at this point you're looking at Kingsley Tunamana,
Suamatella or whatever
and
his name
like,
is.
yeah, and that's not a great value here. I don't have a first round grade on him. I don't have a first round grade on any interior guys from this point. So it would just be an overdraft for the sake of an overdraft to fill a need. They have a needed edge, and Chop Robinson is the best available, and he's a beast. He's an absolute savage.
Mm-hmm.
So
And in
I
drills
love
too.
this.
In drills, he looked really good. He had fast hands. I think he's gonna translate well to the program. I do.
Yeah, I love it. On the clock, the San Francisco 49ers, the runners up in the Superb Owl. Here, I got some options. I have a couple people that I'm kind of like hemming and hawing over. I like Ennis Rakestraw Jr. I could see them going. Oh, there he is. Suamatia.
Suamatia.
That one. I Tyler Nubin could be a guy here. They could look to, because I know they're trying to move Brandon Ayuk so that they don't lose him for nothing. Adonai Mitchell could fit and fill in that role really nicely. I'm gonna go Kool-Aid McKinstry, back to back best names in the draft. They have a need at corner. He plays a solid corner. I don't know if he's ever going to be a number one shutdown guy. I don't know that he's, the Sauce Gardner type. But I like Kool-Aid's game. He plays a very straightforward game. He fits in with that defense. Him and Fred Warner, I think, would be boys. So, yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry goes to San Fran.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think Kool Aid actually is going to fall into the second round, but it's a pick that I think would make sense for them. And I don't think San Francisco's at a point where they'd be scared of reaching for a guy that they think is going to affect them positively. Um, Speaking of reaching for a guy that's going to affect you positively, pick number 32, finish in the first round, Xavier Worthy, wide
I
receiver out
knew
of
you were going to
Texas.
do it.
You knew I was going to do it
I knew you were going to
because
do it.
Xavier Worthy, man, he is the heir apparent of Tyreek Hill. Because I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I could do AD Mitchell here, because I do like Mitchell a lot. Um, but looking at like size comparisons, he's somewhat similar to a Rashee Rice. So I was like, I don't know that that necessarily makes sense, but give more weapons to Pat Mahomes, and why not go ahead and give the fastest man ever recorded in the primaries to him, or not the primaries, in the combine.
Yeah, I love it and I hate it. I think that would be great. I think that's electric. My
It's gonna be
one
fun.
concern with Worthy is that he drops the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of that in Kansas City.
They do.
Uh, Honestly, the stock exchange, I listened to that full thing today, and the pick that they made, I love, and I actually hope this happens for Kansas City, was they went Keon Coleman, and they went that same like where you were very high on the Giants going Rome Dunze. Um, very similar. They were like they don't have this body type kind of receiver. He's a steady catcher. He's a good catcher of the football. Doesn't drop the ball like extreme radius, like catch radius. So I love that pick for them. I think Worthy also makes all the sense in the world. That dude will hit the jugs machine every single day if Patrick Mahomes is throwing him the ball. So I'm not worried about that. That just feels like a cheat code. It just feels like a cheat code.
That's why I'm doing it. It's going to be my favorite pick in the draft every time I do it, because I don't think anyone else is going to go ahead and jump for him in the first round the way that Kansas City would. I could 100% see Kansas City going offensive line as well. Like maybe go ahead and get like Morgan out of Arizona. I could see that tackle. Um,
Yeah.
but dude, give him that super speedy wide receiver again. I love it.
Stretch the field, more openings for Travis Kelsey, Rashee Rice. Like, yeah, it could be filthy. They're drafting to win Super Bowls. They're not drafting for the future. So, all right. Well, just to recap, this is our no trades draft. This is what we believe would happen if if the NFL draft was no trades. How we think it would go down. Caleb Williams number 1, Jaden Daniels number 2, Drake May number 3, number 4 Marvin Harrison Jr., number 5 Malik Neighbors, and I think you could have made a case there at 5 instead of Neighbors for Rome, but
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh is just such a tough guy to read. I don't know. 6, JJ McCarthy. 7, Joe Alt. 8, Dallas Turner. 9, Rome Odunze. 10, Brock Bowers. 11, Quinyon Mitchell. 12, Bo Nix. 13, Jared Verse. 14, Olu Fashanu. 15, Cooper DeJean. 16, Talise Fugawa. 17, Troy Fatanu, just trying to trip on all the words. Little mini run on tackle here. 18, Amarius Mims. 19, Byron Murphy II. 20, JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson. 21, Graham Barton. 22, Terrian Arnold. 23, Michael Penix Jr. 24, JC Latham. 25, Johnny Newton. 26, Laitu Latu. 27, Tyler Guyton. 28, Brian Thomas Jr. 29, Nate Wiggins. 30, Chop Robinson. 31, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And 32, the reach that isn't a reach, Xavier Worthy. Thoughts, feelings on this draft? How you feeling? How do you think we did?
So, being the fact that there's no trades in this draft, I don't think that this is going to be wholly accurate. Um, I almost want to go ahead and do like what we think is going to happen if trades do happen, just because of the fact that I'd be curious to see like if our actual order of what we think happens is right.
Right.
Um, but I think it went well. I think we reached a little bit. I'm not so certain that Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. go in the first round.
Bo Nix went so high.
Like I said, it seemed like a Sean
get it.
Payton pick.
Yeah, I agree.
As much as I don't agree with it, it seemed like a Sean Payton pick. So I don't like those are two names that I don't think are there. I think that the as far as receivers go, like Brian Thomas Jr. falling to 28, I don't see that happening.
No.
I think it was just kind of the way the board fell and how things worked out. I think if we factor in trades, very, very different draft. Very different draft.
Maybe we'll do a trades. Maybe I will be a premium PFF subscriber for like a day, and we'll figure out a trade mock, and we'll do that before our final mock of the year. Just because we love this shit, guys. This is something we've tried to do. We've tried to start this football podcast like 12 different times, and this year we finally got it to happen and happen consistently. So I've never been a big draft guy, like doing all the diligence that we've done this year. But I didn't want Mike to have to do this by himself, or as we call him, Sexy Mel. He is our Sexy Mel Kiper. He knows so much more than me when it comes to NFL prospects. He watches way more college football than I do. But we're having fun. So maybe you guys can anticipate coming up here. We'll do a trades mock and see what we actually think is going to happen. Try and be legit about what happens, and we don't necessarily pick or like we come to an agreement on the pick instead of having each of us pick individually, and we kind of do our joint mock. So maybe that's something that happens. Like I said, this offseason has been wild. It's been insane. It's been crazy. But we are having fun. If there's anything you guys want us to talk about, or if you want to let us know what you think of our mock, please do so. We are here. We are getting a little more active on social media. So please like, comment, subscribe, follow, heart, all that stuff. Anything else you have to tell the people, Mike, before we get out of here?
No, I don't got anything. Just
perfect. Well,
tell us how wrong we were.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will when we get to that point. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We greatly appreciate it. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you all back here next time.